Welcome to the second video in the XtremeVision software tutorial series. In this video, we'll be discussing using the Program Setup menu to customize the display. First, make sure that you've watched the first video in the tutorial series, which walks you through the basic features of the system and also shows you how to queue up playback files. Okay, so after you open the program and have queued up a playback file, let's take a look at the default settings for traffic alerts. Click Program Setup. Then, in the first tab that appears called Common, you'll see that the warning distance is set to 9,000 feet and the alert distance is set to 6,000 feet. The default colors are yellow and red, and that the audio alerts are enabled. The warning and alert settings affect the 3D traffic display. For example, if traffic comes within 9,000 feet, then that traffic's text block will become highlighted yellow. Likewise, if they come within 6,000 feet, then their text block will become red. Also, since the audio alerts are enabled, you'll get a caution message when traffic comes within 9,000 feet and an alert message when traffic comes within 6,000 feet. In the same tab, just below the warning and alert settings, is an altitude differential setting, which limits the audio alerts based on how close vertically traffic is to you. Just below that are the top and front view maximum visible distances, which set the extents of the 3D front view or the 2D top views. By default, these are set to 15 nautical miles, but you can change either or both from 0 to 100 nautical miles. The last setting in the Common tab is the plane size setting, which adjusts the scale of the 3D traffic. Now, let's take a look at a log file running with these default settings. In this particular example, the default settings have the traffic on the screen in a pretty crowded manner. Therefore, flying in these conditions, you'll probably want to adjust the settings to something more useful. So we'll pause the playback file, click the blue X in the upper right corner to exit back to the startup screen, then click Program Setup. Let's see what effect each of these settings has on the playback file as we adjust them. First, we'll set the warning and alert distances to 6,000 and 4,000 feet, and we'll keep the colors the same and the audio alerts on. Next, we'll change the altitude differential to less than 1,500 feet. For now, we'll keep the maximum visible distances the same, but we'll change the plane size to 60%. Let's see what effect that has on our playback file. As you can see, the traffic on screen is much less jumbled and it's easier to identify real threats. Let's take this one step further by scaling back the top and front view maximum visible distances. So again, we'll pause the playback file and click on the blue X once. Now enter the program setup again, and let's change the top view max visible distance to 10 and the front view to 10. Now you'll see that in the 3D view, things have cleared up significantly. Pause the playback file again and go back into Program Settings. This time, tab over first to Front View, which further tweaks the 3D view, and let's adjust the crosshairs, which are the indication of your direction of flight on the 3D view. Let's make it a more bold green. Next, let's make the crosshairs a bit larger and thicker. You'll also notice that all of the text on the 3D view is adjustable as well. So just to see what happens, let's change the color of the on-ship information to red, the heading information to yellow, the heartbeat information to green, and the other plane information to pink. And then we'll see what that does to the display. You'll probably find that in flight it's easier to keep all the text white so it shows up more in sunlight. So let's change the text back to white. Now, while we're here, let's tab over to the top view tab and make some adjustments there as well. You'll notice that the first thing in this window is the circle radius, which is the ring drawn around your aircraft in the 2D window. You'll also notice that it has its own audio alert associated with it. Let's change the radius to 3 nautical miles. Below that is the window size setting, which determines how big the 2D traffic window will be when you open it. Let's change it to 150. The Show AirMet and SIGMET and Disable 2D Auto Open checkboxes are related to the next RAD window, so we'll come back to those. The background color is the color of the background on the 2D traffic window. So let's change it to green. The on-ship plane color is the 2D traffic window's indication of your aircraft. So let's change it to red. The other plane color is the color of 2D traffic targets, so we'll set those to blue. The altitude differential is the 2D traffic's altitude differential shown in hundreds of feet. So for example, plus 1200 feet would show as a plus 12 in red. So let's change the color to white. The rotate button color is the color of the buttons on the 2D window that allow you to pan 90, 180, and 270 degrees on the 3D window. So let's change those to blue as well. The border color is the color of the border around the 2D traffic window, and just for this example we'll change that to red. Circle color is the color of the ring drawn around your aircraft in the 2D window, so we'll change it to red as well. Rotate button timeout is the setting which allows you to adjust how fast you want the 3D view to return to the straight ahead view when you're scanning the surroundings in 3D. Let's set it to 2000 milliseconds to see how this impacts the display. Okay, so when we open the 2D traffic window, you'll see it's drastically different. Also, you'll notice that if you pan in 3D, you've only got 2 seconds before the view returns to straight ahead. Let's put these settings back to default, then we'll queue up a playback file with some more exciting weather to discuss the SIGMET, AirMet, and Disable 2D Auto Open checkboxes in the top view tab. Okay, so here we are with our playback file going and the next RAD window open in XtremeVision. You'll see that we've got the SIGMETs outlined on the screen, and since we've got traffic within our warning distance, it won't close even though we've got the weather window open. So let's go back into the program setup screen and disable the 2D Auto Open by tabbing to Top View and checking the Disable 2D Auto Open box. Okay, to show you what this does, we'll launch back into XtremeVision, and as you can see, you can now close the 2D traffic window. We designed this feature so that when you're looking at the weather window, any traffic that comes within your defined warning range will pop up visually as well as give you audio alerts. Now in some cases, users decide to turn this off because they want to just focus on the weather and rely on the audio traffic alerts only, which is why we added the text box. You can also turn off the graphical SIGMETs and AirMets using the checkbox in the 2D Top View tab on the Program Setup screen. However, fewer users choose to do this since it's typically nice to know on the map where significant weather is likely to occur. This concludes the settings tutorial in the XtremeVision software tutorial video series. Thank you for watching. You should be well equipped with knowledge to explore the features and functions of XtremeVision on your own now. Please don't hesitate to call or email a SkyVision representative with any further questions you have as you work with the program.